Go ahead and call the city council meeting to order. If you could, please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you, and if you could turn and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Clerk, can you call the roll call of council members, please?
Lehman.
Here.
Podak.
Here.
Cassidy.
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Grine.
Here.
Mendoza.
Here.
Lake.
Here. We're all present. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting?
Move to adopt.
Second. We have a motion by Lehman. Who seconded? Was it
I think Baker.
Baker? All right. Second by Baker. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Podak.
Abstain.
Cassidy.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Grine.
Yes.
Mendoza.
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
All right, that does carry. Communications.
I have a letter from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control wanting to know if council wants a hearing or no hearing on a permit renewal for EM Investment Inc. doing business as Rick Carryout Store on 201 East Tiffin Street.
Any need for a hearing on that? Seeing none.
Okay, thank you.
All right, report of committees, Finance Committee.
Finance Committee met this evening at 5:30 prior to the meeting, and the Finance Director presented the May financial reports. Balances reflected $22 million in the bank. Of that, $7.5 million are encumbered, leaving a balance of $14.5 million available. He also made some notable comments regarding revenue. He talked about the ambulance fund and that the company that does the billing on that has changed hands, and they're doing an improved job, and we are seeing more revenue come in as a result of that. He plans to move $1 million from the ambulance fund, which it is currently not earning interest, to a money market fund in order to begin earning interest on that. We do have a new ambulance coming, so he doesn't want to keep it invested long term. He also noted that he has moved $1 million to Red Tree in order to capture some long-term investment earnings. Zoning and compliance have begun taking credit card payments. The ease of payment has flowed through nicely, and we're seeing an increase in revenue there. The enterprise funds, water and sewer collections are running as predicted pretty much. And he stated that in September, we could probably begin to look at whether we would need to make sewer and water rate increases for the following year. Was also noted by the Safety Service Director that the project manager position has been filled, and the next meeting will be July 15th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. Council chambers.
Thank you very much. Public Affairs Committee.
We had our second quarterly combos with council this past Saturday with 6 members of council and 4 members of the public in attendance. Topics were mostly centered around communications and our parks. The Public Affairs Committee will meet again on Tuesday, July 15th at 5 p.m. here in council chambers to plan our next event. Upcoming events include the second Fostoria Farmers and Artisans Market of the Year, hosted by Klaus Construction to celebrate families, which will take place this Saturday, June 21st from 9 to 1 in our downtown area. The next Lunch on the Lawn will take place next Wednesday, June 25th from 12 to 1 on the municipal lawn, and will feature B&A egg-roll Thai food and live music by Ryan Hensley. The Traveling Wall Vietnam Memorial Opening Ceremony will be held on Thursday, June 26th at 4 p.m. at 1001 Park Avenue. And next Saturday, June 28th, is our tire collection day at Foundation Park from 8 to 10 a.m. We will have city employees there to help unload tires for the public. This event is for Fostoria residents only. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you. Law and Ordinance Committee.
The Law and Ordinance Committee met this evening. We had a few members of the public bring up several concerns for our considerations, including one-sided parking on West Haven Drive, speeding on Vine Street, and speed limit issues coming into town from 613. Our committee is anticipating a data report regarding the landlord-tenant right legislation that we passed last year to review and discuss at our next committee meeting, which will be held on Tuesday, July 15th at 5:15 here in council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Report of officers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'm pleased to report that the first 2 homes at Riley Meadows were placed today. So housing is one of our biggest challenges, and that grant that came from the state of Ohio is being implemented. Once these are installed and set up and operating, we will continue with that project. Our challenge now is to find people who can qualify to purchase those homes and move in.
Awesome. Thank you. Director of Public Service and Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did put in for the next round of community development block grant solicitations. We did put in for ADA compliant restrooms for the upstairs, very similar to the downstairs restrooms that were put in about 10 years ago, give or take. That has been turned in and has, I believe, has been sent to the state for its consideration. So hopefully we'll know before long if we have had get that grant. It's roughly $120,000 worth of project for the upstairs. Then I did attend the Micah Hyde football camp on I think it was the 7th of June. Roughly 460 something kids out there at the stadium at a football camp. A lot of volunteers doing really cool things. That Imagine for Youth Foundation and the things they do for kids in our community and everywhere else that they touch is just pretty amazing stuff. And just want to make sure that I had remarked on the fact that it was another successful camp here. I think this was year number 8. And, Mike and his foundation continues to give back to this community. And that's a really, really cool thing to talk about every year. And then did attend the Juneteenth celebration on this past Saturday. Started out a little soggy, but then it cleared up somewhere around 1 o'clock. And there was quite an opening part of it. I did have to move on next to the pageant, and that was another fun thing that we brought back after 5 years. A lot of excited young ladies that did a great job, and Maddie and the volunteers who put that back together. I can't say enough about them because it was great to have them back, and now they'll be this next group. And sorry I didn't bring the names of all the young ladies with us, but it'll be a whole year worth of ambassadorship for the city, and it's been amazing. And I'll go back to 14 years ago when the first queen that I had came to the pageant, and it was really fun. She brought her daughter to the pageant, so it was very cool to see all that. But and then there was a $500 scholarship, the Leah Hipsher Scholarship Fund, that was given to Ms. Guernsey that won the pageant, and a scholarship fund for her. So just a great couple of weeks worth of fun activities in Fostoria that I want to talk about for a minute. And that's all I have for the moment. Thank you.
Director of Law.
Thank you. I have no report tonight.
Director of Finance.
Nothing to add to the Finance Committee meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you. This time we'll turn it over to members of the public. We do have Ms. Tyson who requested time to speak. We ask that you limit your comments to 10 minutes or less.
Hello, I'm Deb Tyson, 800 Woodward Avenue, and I would like to mention that I have seen everyone here do much better. I'd like to see more people back here behind me. because then they might understand what's all involved. But resources keeps coming up because people say, well, where do we go? And I was reading something about summer resources today. We have our blessing boxes, we have the Pantry Plus, and I think I mentioned last time, that's on North 23 out there, used to be a church, and they moved out there. They do an excellent job, but it's run by volunteers, only one person. And all you got to do is have your ID, your kids' birth certificates, and do a normal intake. And they even have soaps, they have everything, cat, dog food. Fostoria is one of the towns, I've never seen a town that takes care of its own people. Um, and with that, also, Fostoria Baptist Church does have a His Hands ministry, which there is nothing, you don't have to have no ID or nothing. You can get food, you can get clothing, you can get paper products, all kinds of stuff, but they only do it on the last Sunday of the month. This time it's the 29th, and it's out there on Lytle Street. The other thing was I wanted to say that they, if this town does pull together really, really good, and I just want to thank everyone. Being part of Fostoria is a great thing. That's all I had.
Thank you. We will now open up the meeting to other members of the public that wish to address council. We ask that you come up to the podium, state your name, and limit your speaking time to 3 minutes or less.
Good evening, Jill Filliater, 402 West Culbertson Street. I just want to touch base real quick. There was a wonderful article today in the paper regarding the control of access to city-owned, controlled, and leased property that you guys will be doing the third reading on today. And as I was researching it, my only question I had, and I had asked a couple other people, my neighbors, there was no list of how many properties. I was assuming looking more like the city building and things like that, but when it's the way it's written as such open-ended, how many properties are we talking about that the city owns? So I'll reach out to try to find out, because I don't even think all the council members know how many properties you guys are going to be talking about. So I just want to make sure that we know what you're talking about. We understand. I perfectly agree with having those different kinds of segmentals that they were describing, but if we don't know how many, I know that there's parks and I know that there's a few other buildings, but it would be nice to really understand what you guys were all looking at, because it looks very open. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move into old business. The first ordinance is still remaining tabled, I believe. So we'll move into the second piece of old business.
An ordinance to submit to the voters of the city of Fostoria, Ohio, a ballot measure levying a renewed 5-year 1% municipal income tax, in addition to the permanent 1% income tax established by ordinance number B664, and declaring an emergency to exist.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion by Lehman, a second by Baker to adopt. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Lehman,
Yes.
Hodak,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Grine,
Yes.
Mendoza,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
That ordinance carries. It becomes ordinance number 2025-45.
A resolution establishing Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 as the date for the election relating to the enactment of a continued 5-year 1% income tax levy and declaring an emergency to exist.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion by Grine, a second by Baker to adopt. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Lehman,
Yes.
Hodak,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Grine,
Yes.
Mendoza,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
All right, that does pass. It becomes resolution number 2025-46. Thank you.
An ordinance enacting new section 109.02 of chapter 109 of the codified ordinances of the city of Fostoria, Ohio, entitled Control of Access to City-Owned, Controlled, and Leased Property to establish regulations for conduct within and upon city project.
I'd like to make some comments on that.
Sure.
I know I'm not going to be very popular probably by taking this position, but I'm prepared to vote in favor of this tonight. It's not something that's going to be etched in stone that we're making a decision we have to live with forever. There's room to make adjustments as we see fit, and as a lot of this is driven by a major change in the world we live in. I can remember as a child, and that's been a few years ago, but you could go out into this building anywhere you wanted. You could see whoever you wanted to. There weren't the threats out there that all public places seem to have the potential of having a problem with. Things have changed. I look at some of the issues that this city's had to deal with the last few years, and I guess in my own mind, I feel that some of the issues that we've had the last few years wouldn't have been near as severe or maybe not even happened had we had this legislation in at the time. And generally speaking, it's something that's, some of these issues have come up. Things have been put out on the internet that have given Fostoria a very unfavorable picture. People look at us like we're some kind of a real terrible community. Things were misspoken, things were misrepresented, I guess. It makes me angry because this is a town of some of the most giving and nice people that you're going to find in this country. And to get the slap in the face we did a few years ago still grinds me. So I take issue to some of the opposition to it. Rules, quote, one of them, rules like these can discourage civic participation. Well, I don't think so. I think it enhances civic participation if people feel a little safer when they come in here. It puts a control over people that have only one motive in mind, and that's to come in here just to be a rabble rouser. There's issues where we cite infractions in this ordinance that we supposedly have in other sections of our ordinances as far as drug possession, smoking, etc. I don't have a problem with this reiterating another ordinance. We've had 2 readings of this, and we get down to the final reading, and then we start having issues with it. If you want to be nitpicky, you want to drag us out for 3 or 4 months as we go through the verbiage and stuff, that's probably what will happen. But I'm prepared to vote in favor of it, get the thing in place. I think we desperately need it. I don't think we need to drag this on for several months. Pardon me, let's at least start with it. Thank you for being a good audience.
Any other discussion on this ordinance?
I feel the need that I need to say something since Mr. Cassidy was using my words. I can agree that it is extremely unfortunate, to say the least, that anyone feels the need to even consider this to begin with. I don't think it's worth wasting 4 months or whatever revising because it's not necessary. I have not been given a reason why it's necessary. Fostoria deserves a leadership that governs to everyone, not ordinance written to address just the few.
I don't agree with that.
I know.
you're portraying this, turn this into almost a Gestapo state or something. That's the impression I got from reading this.
If
that
it's not necessary, then why do we need it? What
I think
cause
it's
is there
necessary
for
we
it?
put in common sense controls. Apparently, you don't know what's going on in this building from time to time. It needs some controls to it.
I
Or
think I have
maybe
a
an
different
option.
view of what's going on,
Yeah.
a different perspective, perhaps.
I understand that. And I constitutionally, I respect that right.
It's not
I don't-
about the Constitution, it's about the necessity. I trust our city employees and leaderships to be able to deal with whatever's thrown at them without having to implement a law.
You're telling me the city employees are comfortable without this? You're telling me the leadership in this community, in this building, are comfortable without some guidelines so that people don't come busting into their office?
I feel
It's-
like this building is the safest building in our town.
Really?
It's attached to our police station.
Gee, I wonder
If
why
you're
we.
referring to this specific building, I know it's a catch-all for all the properties.
That's
but
correct.
Yeah.
We have the water plant, we've got the sewage plant, we've got the street department,
I think I'm
we've
looking
got the other
at it
building there, we've got the parks, we've got the reservoirs.
and what issues have we had that is causing this to happen? That is the need for this legislation. I've not been given a solid reason. The proactive measures being,
I think it's proactive. In other words, apparently you don't pay attention to what's going on around the country right now.
I think I'm not verbalizing my stance correctly. Or that I don't think I want to have this discussion openly and we both feel differently about it. And
What's wrong with having an open discussion on it?
well, yeah, I didn't mean to speak to argue with you. I just meant to speak.
I'm
to
not
state my
arguing, I'm just
stance.
stating
I
my
don't think
position.
it's
But
necessary.
we're always preaching transparency around here. We got to be transparent. I'm being transparent right now.
Right, but it's a proactive precautionary measure for.
Yes, it is.
For what? What are we worried about? What are we scared of? What are we fearing here?
We're worried about people trying to hide behind their all levels of freedom to come in here and do whatever they want with city employees.
And I trust our city employees to be able to handle those incidences, as few and far in between as they are. If that's all this is about.
Is it going to get better?
We have what we need to deal with whatever comes our way already.
Okay. Let's take a look at this
I mean,
little scenario.
I'm not trying to.
So we've
get you. I'm
both
sorry.
expressed our
Yes,
opinions.
thank
We're not going to
you.
go back and forth and argue with each other this evening. So I do want to maintain some sort of decorum where we could introduce new statements, but we're not just going to go back and forth. Are there other people that have opinions that they'd like to?
Yeah, I'll just state some. I'm going to be the person that Mr. Cassidy doesn't like, and I apologize. It took me to the third reading to bring it up, but it is for me the language. I'm not opposed with the intent of it and the segmentation, but to me it's a little overly broad and pretty subjectively written. And then some sections I think just kind of contradict others. So section B, as an example, gives safety service director the authority to classify different areas, but then in section B, section H7, we're identifying within this ordinance what some of those sections are. So to me, it doesn't really jive or mesh. The prohibition on recording seems a little questionable based on what I understand about Ohio Revised Code. I'm no lawyer, so I defer the legality to the law director, but just on what I looked at, it seems like recording of public officials working in their official capacity has been upheld by the courts. So I question that. Would just like to see it looked into a little bit more. F2 is a little overly broad regarding any directive of any sign or notice. Being able, seems like in the future, we may regret that type of language where it can be anything put in anywhere. I don't love that. And then H3, I think this is just a typo, but it says vaping devised. I think it should be vaping device. So if we're going to vote on it, I think we should at least amend to get the language correct. So I support the intent of it. I do think there's proactive measures in segmenting things. I think public officials do, even though they're public officials, to preserve a private area to work and do their business without interruption. I agree there should be a level of decorum that's mandated, but I just would like to see this maybe sent back to law and ordinance to be reviewed and revised.
May I ask the law director a question? What kind of exposure do we have without these controls? I mean, this seems to me like it enhances our ability to control what goes on in this building as far as people that are involved down the hall that are involved in legal matters, whether they're plaintiff, defendant, and there's the ability for people to arbitrarily come in and video or audio tape conversations. Yeah, it seems to me like it has a potential of creating a mistrial
Well, so
or other legal issues.
I would note, you may have noticed that the court itself has placed up some notices very recently that mirror a policy at the Seneca County Justice Center. So the court itself has the authority to control and set restrictions for the area under their control. So Judge Best has prohibited recording in, I believe it's this hallway out here. So that would take care of, all of the court matters, as well as I believe the probation hallway, because that is also dealing with legal parties. So I believe that portion is covered by the court's directive. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure I was completely following.
I guess I'm just taking a look at the big picture of this whole building. And I understand we're restricting it to the court, or the court has jurisdiction to set it up. But there are situations that come up in this building where it's really not public's business. If somebody's having a confidential conversation with somebody over a water bill or whatever, you think they're going to be more comfortable if they think they're in here having a conversation and somebody's taking pictures, taping it?
Are you asking me for my opinion? Because I don't think it's necessarily my place to be
Okay,
giving an opinion as to the legislation.
okay.
Any other discussion items?
I just have a couple. I'm not going to say that I'm in favor of this because I'm not, and there's a couple reasons. One is that we have definitely put the Director of Public Service and Safety pretty much in charge of this whole thing. And as much as I think he's totally capable of doing that, the one we have now, I don't know who the next one will be. And secondly, I think there needs to be an alternate in there, whether it would default to quote unquote the police chief if he's not in town, because he's got a lot of vacation time and he's probably going to take it. So at least the one we have now. So I think we're setting ourselves up for failure by not making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed in this thing. We need to send it back, get it cleaned up, get some things. That's my suggestion. We need to have an alternate. It's not good to have one person in control of this whole ordinance in the city when it affects a lot of people. I mean, you could put police chief and then mayor after that. It's what is the chain of command if he's not here, is my point. Some other things is I would have to agree with Mrs. Filiator that let's put the buildings down that it affects. No use leaving it open. There's one thing I said when I started on this council, I hate passing things through and then having to fix them. Let's fix them first.
Any other discussion? That does constitute the third reading of this ordinance. Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, this ordinance will be removed from the docket for lack of a motion. All right, next ordinance.
An ordinance to amend the traffic control map and file for the city of Fostoria, Ohio, removing 2-hour parking limitations on the 600 and 700 blocks of West Tiffin Street.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Lake, a second by Podak to adopt. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Lehman,
Yes.
Hodak,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Grine,
Yes.
Mendoza, Lake.
Yes.
All right, that motion does carry. It becomes ordinance number 2025-47.
An ordinance establishing the City of Fostoria Mechanic Division and the position, responsibilities, and qualifications for the position of full-time working foreman for the City of Fostoria, Ohio, and declaring an emergency to exist.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is that Baker?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Mendoza, a second by Baker. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Lehman,
Yes.
Hodak,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Grine,
Yes.
Mendoza,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
That ordinance carries. It's ordinance number 2025-48.
An ordinance to enact Chapter 153 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Fostoria entitled Parks Board, establishing a Parks Board.
That was the second reading of that ordinance.
Move to adopt.
We would have to
The second.
suspend the three reading rule
Oh, I'm
at
sorry.
this time. So are you rescinding the motion? Okay, that is the second reading of that ordinance. And we will move into new business.
A resolution approving and ratifying the prior acts of the department heads and safety service director and approving then and now certificates for said expenditures and declaring an emergency.
That was the first reading of that resolution, and that'll
To
conclude.
suspend the three reading rule on 3 separate
Sure.
occasions.
Second.
My apologies for moving too quick. We have a motion to suspend the three reading rule by Lehman, a second by Cassidy. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Lehman,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Hodak,
Yes.
Grine,
Yes.
Mendoza,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
All right, the three reading rule has been waived.
Move to adopt?
Second.
We have a motion by Lehman, a second by Podak to adopt. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Lake,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Hodak,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Grine,
Yes.
Mendoza.
Yes.
That resolution carries and it becomes resolution number 2025-49. That does conclude our new business. Is there any need to go into executive session this evening? Is there any miscellaneous business this evening?
Just one thing, the Seneca County Health Board, which covers all of Fostoria under its jurisdiction, has decided a few years ago to have one meeting a year in Fostoria, and that is the 26th, Thursday at 5 p.m. at the Learning Center.
What time?
What?
26th.
This fourth Thursday, 26th, 5 p.m. at the Learning Center.
All right, thank you. Any other miscellaneous business
I
this
just
evening?
have one piece, Brian.
Sure.
And I talked to Chief Gabe there a little bit ago. I wanted to get the latest update on Officer Moon, who had been in contact with fentanyl. He's been doing No problems since. I actually think he came to court today and he'll be back to work tomorrow.
Good.
So I just want to give you that update so you know he's doing very well. And unfortunate circumstances and everybody acted very quickly and a great outcome and he's doing well. So just want to let you know that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Any other miscellaneous business this evening? Seeing none, our next meeting will be July 1st, 2025 at 6 PM, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Baker, a second by Podak. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Lehman,
Yes.
Kodak,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Grine,
Yes.
Mendoza, Lake.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 6:36 PM.